Mate, I wanted to ask you also in regards to your morning routine, what else is important besides what you've mentioned? Diet related, hydration related, I'd imagine you'd have a protocol that you follow.
Well, I do like a litre or two, sometimes two, depending on what time I have and how available, of water with lemon in it. Sometimes some ginger in there.
Yeah.
Just to sort of like open everything up. And I do that while I'm, around the meditation time. And I'll just sip it. I won't jam it down there. I'll just sip it.
Right.
So it's a sipped warm water. So
right.
It's not cold.
Yeah.
It's warm. So I'll put some boiling water into probably a third of a litre into normal room temperature water. So it'll have that sort of warmth to it, body warmth temperature. So it'll just get soaked into the system. So that's the kind of like the introduction to the day,
right,
for me. And then I probably won't eat. I do have a little bit of coffee. I love my coffee.
Yep.
So I have a bit of a coffee after I've sort of done all my morning kind of ritual with the practice. I will have a coffee and I'll get into my day, whatever I'm doing. But I probably generally don't eat until later on in the morning. So until I'm really hungry. So I'll just sort of wait till I'm kind of,
sure,
I need something now.
And by that time, would you have had a surf and trained,
Yeah. I'd usually do something around physically engaged in other things, probably 10 o'clock, sometimes even later.
Yeah, but when the hunger hits, not before.
Not before.
Which makes sense.
And so it tends to set up my metabolism. And like, I'm not like crazy about my diet. Like, I just sort of make good choices and generally move away from packaged food, and use kind of a whole food sort of diet.
Right.
Mostly.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say
sure.
I'm perfect. Like, there's no doubt about it. I do like, a bit of chocolate and cake, and I still, I'm not like crazy about it.
Sure.
I just generally try to make nice decisions for the body, so it's sort of it's getting replenished. If there's any other supplements I use the AG1, the athletic greens, which I really like.
Right.
And I use collagen now because I'm in the repair mode of tendon repair.
It's great.
Bone broth and all that sort of stuff. I do eat red meat from time to time. I eat eggs. I eat fish, chicken. Don't do a lot of that, but that's in my diet from time to time. And like I said, vegetables, like pretty much vegetables and fruit are basically most of my diet.
Yeah, right. Isn't it? It's simple, isn't it? It's not rocket science.
No, just just watch out for the packaged foods because they're so alluring. Like you've got some in there. God, I'll just have one of those because I'm quick and hungry.
Yeah.
You just go and grab one of those things and you tear it out of a packet. You don't look what's on the packet, and if you saw what's on the packet, you wouldn't eat it. Like, you just wouldn't do it. It kind of fills something for a second, One of those like muesli things, or one of the things that says it's this or that. You just got so wary. Be careful. That's all I can say to anyone out there. Just be careful of that. It's so alluring. Like I said, the package.
Yeah, the smell, the colour.
Yeah, the colour and the
taste.
The need, if you're hungry.
Yes, yeah.
I go to a pie shop at Longreef and have a pie from that pie shop.
Upper crust, how good's that?
Yeah. I go there and have a pie every now and then. Think of it at a big foil session out there with my buddies. And the body's just craving food. I'll go and have a pie. I'm not saying I'm like perfect.
No.
I'm stepping away from that.
Yeah. Sort of like the 80-20 rule. You follow more.
80-20.
Yeah.
That's what I like. And so I moved towards that. It's not like you said, it's not rocket science, and I'm not going for world title today.
Right.
Too.
Sure.
If I'm
Good point.
an athlete who's moving towards that sort of level and they're trying to get an edge and so on, I'd be helping them move in that direction where they've got to do what they've got to do to, support their system in extreme stress.
Yes, totally.
So the system needs to be optimized for extreme stress. It's like it's got to be happy to be in the middle of stress.
And mate, mentioning that, so I started working with the ASP back when you guys were still on tour, yourself and Barton and Martin Potts, and I've noticed, obviously, working closely with the athletes, that their mindset and their consciousness around food and other practices has changed. How's your observation on that over the years? What are the phases that you've seen that were critical in the development of professional surfing to really see professional surfers these days totally different to what it was maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago?
God, it was so raw in my day.
Yeah.
Compared to what it is now. In everything, every little way. I think evolutionary processes have just been really kind in surfing. There's been a lot of energy around it. So it's natural that, as the resources come into the sport, and the energy from the athletes and the whoever they get to support them and the level of which they have to be at today as an athlete, they have to be strong. You look at the top crew, who are really pushing it today, the strength, you can see it in their bodies. As they're walking down, you've got Ethan Ewing, the bottom part of the body is so pronounced and it's so solid. And and then you look at Gabriel Medina, you look at where he's coming from, Italo Ferreira. To name just three, just pop into my head.
Exactly.
That I look at the really focusing on doing the best they can with their whole act. Is sort of starting to really evolve, and I know that for the Brazilian crew, you've seen it and how they've developed their energy that they've brought it to it has really started to teach the world how to actually bring it, not like we're going to have to do something about this. Oh my God,
they really have been leaders, haven't they?
They really led us into this position we're in now, and they call it the Brazilian Storm. But I saw it kind of a long way in the horizon. I could see it on the horizon. When I was competing, I was going, "Oh, these guys have got similar energy to us in a different kind of way." That's how I felt. I always felt an affinity with Brazil too. I don't know what it was. I have no idea what that is, but I always loved being there. I always loved being around the energy and just the culture and stuff. I always enjoyed it, and there was a lot of other stuff going on that would be to the contrary. In my world, I was like, oh, these guys are awesome. You watch them. Watch what's going to happen. These guys are going to send it proper, and boom, here it is. And I'm going, wow, this. And they're bringing a level that's of application, which hasn't, it's not seen. So here, which starting to happen here. Which of course you see the results. Which is beautiful. That really started to work much better. I mean, I'd say in the last 5 years is really kick it into gear. And so we're going to see some amazing athletes, Jack Robinson and so on, but who's really put it to it. And he's actually tapped into Brazil too, and in the way he's connected
working with Iago's dad, Leandro,
See, this is it's a great collaboration.
Yes.
And of athletes tapping into the sources that are going to help them get to their best level.
Yeah, and sharing their experience and their resources as well. It's beautiful.
Bingo. I think it's fantastic, and why not? I think, and so, but I love that angle too. I really love seeing it, and because that's where I kind of came from in my kind of the way, even though in the 80s it wasn't seen as a very positive thing to train, even when I first started training for surfing.
There was a question mark around it compromising mobility.
Yeah.
I remember way back,
And we didn't know what we were doing. I was just actually rehabbing injury.
Right,
And that
okay.
introduced me to conditioning. Because if I didn't have the knee surgery in 1981 and the knee that was sort of informed all my kind of training really and started sort of getting me on that angle and seeing the results and doing this other training, and then all of a sudden my surfing improved and I was going in the direction I wanted to go in. And then I went, oh, maybe I can do this and that, and then looking at other athletes in other sports and seeing how powerful that their extra work or, you know, cross-training was happening,
right,
and how much time they put in compared to us surfers. I was going, wow, we've got to step it up.
So you were joining the dots to make that conclusion and noticing it, I guess, in your performance and your strength.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I got an upper hand. And I really was able to see that I actually, I feel much more capable in these conditions than these other guys.
Sure.
And actually able to attack it.
Yes.
Not just sort of survive it.
And that makes sense, mate, observing your surfing back in the day. And what you're saying, actually, recently I had a chat with Barton Lynch. And I asked Barton about that, and he said there was an obvious turning point in surfing, professional surfing, where surfers became professional, and he cited you, you know, at the forefront of that for that reason. So that was really interesting.
I really wanted to be a professional athlete and an athlete. So, and I was studying other sports.
Yeah.
You know, track and field, performing arts too, ballet.
Right, okay, interesting, yeah.
Performing arts, tennis, all these other sports that put so much time and effort to improve their game and their natural attributes. So to also sort of work on, you know, learning how to work on your weakest points, because that's where you get the most gain.
Yeah,
not work on all your strengths.
Yeah,
sure.
You
know, you're going to get these little incremental change.
Yeah,
that's fine to work on your strengths because you can go towards your strength because your ego kind of drags you there. But it's that little dark, the one that's in the blind spot.
Sure.
That's going to get you the most.
Yeah.
And so all that stuff was come from other sports.
Yeah, interesting.
In this sport,
And mate, this question comes from the event. I just covered Brazil, so that's about a month ago, but there were surfers still carrying injuries or fatigue that they developed from Kelly's wave pool event and citing the fact that, you know, it's a different wave, yes, but it's a much longer wave. And if we're looking at that as our future, we might be looking at the necessity for surfers to be looking outside the box as well to be able to deal with longer waves, you know, compared to what we're used to. Can you relate to that as well, like with the future of surfing and any other, you know, I guess, challenges or obstacles that surfers are going to have to confront?
Well, stamina, like, you know, building recovery time, you know, shorter recovery time.
Right.
Is like is a very important thing.
That's a good point.
You can see that. I mean, I've ridden Kelly's wave pool, and it's a long wave.
Yes.
There's a lot of effort on that wave that has to go, and I'm just flabbergasted at the level of performances that are going on. You know, between Griffin and Italo and the girls too. You know, like you know, the girls were amazing. You know, and seeing their level of fitness was so good, and their recovery to get back out and on the next wave really attend to every little detail.
Good point.
And that's so important. And then to back it up and then go to J Bay and do it again. And I think, you know, Kelly was definitely thinking of a point break when he was looking at a wave and found those pools that was sort of made for a point break style wave.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting. I think one of the leading guys, I'd say Gabe Medina would be probably by the observation of what he's been doing over the years, has really been able to apply himself into a position very powerful strength on the fitness level, recovery time, applying himself to high level on every single wave he rides, and applying, and being able to be complete and actually improve at the same time. Incremental improvements, like he's making slithers, little slithers,
good
and
point.
they will come even further into as he ages, because I think that's the great thing about surfing, is that we have water knowledge is very hard to come by,
right?
And it's built up incrementally over time. I think Kelly's tapped into it obviously better than anyone, and his knowledge and all the stuff that you've got to apply and recreate yourself to become a world champion again. He's had an extraordinary ability to do that. But someone, you can see someone like Gabe Medina, highly motivated, highly, grabbing every opportunity he can to make himself better at what he's doing.
Yeah.
In all ways. And I think I can see him. I mean, the performance he put on at J Bay in the semi-final, was it? I think it was in the afternoon. There was an overlapping heat with there was Griffin and Ian Gentile, and there was Ryan Callanan and Gabe.
That's right.
And so in that heat, I saw some of the most extraordinary surfing of the event.
Wow, incredible.
In that heat. And I was like, and I saw Gabe Ryan was surfing amazing. Griff was ripping. Ninja Tell just sort of had a better flow, so he kind of took.
Sure.
And I thought maybe Ryan's going to do Gabe, but Gabe sort of went ding.
Yeah, it was incredible, wasn't it?
And the power he was, and the strength, the whole rotation, the whole body was just showed up, and I get tingles up.
When I see it must blow you away, because you've surfed that wave, you know it well. You're goofy as well.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
Oh, incredible, mate. What advice, besides the huge amount of nuggets you've already talked about, but for someone looking at you or looking at even wanting to surf like someone they know at 70, what do you think the fundamentals, besides what we've talked about? Because obviously the diet being simple is important, the mindfulness, the meditation's important. Anything else that you think is really important for a surfer who's wanting to continue surfing or deal with injuries, like we've talked about as well, to know?
Have a routine of working with the body, both where you actually push the oxygen out to the extremities. You have that element in it, cardiovascular. Sure. And then you also have mobility, strength through mobility.
Yes.
The strength through range of motion, movement, and working outside your surfing movement, because the surfing movement becomes really habitual for the body, and you sort of set into posturally kind of bad habits in your surfing.
Wave dependent as well. If there's no surf, we don't get to...
Yeah, and your body becomes tired doing the one thing and gets dull.
Right.
So we have to do things outside, and more so as we get older, I think, and actually pace ourselves with it. But the more we actually sort of give it variety, the body variety, the more it sparks up.
Right.
So variety,
it's a really good tip.
Is a very good thing. Also, if you can do some hot and cold therapy work with that, so you're doing sauna, very regular sauna, and intermittent cold therapy. I wouldn't say like you have to do that ice bath every day, but and even ice baths not necessary. You can still do. I do listen to Andrew Huberman. And it's good to hear the cutting edge through him. He's got a really good way of explaining it.
He's got the science to back up what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's going for it, and he does it himself. He's a flopper. I love him. But that stuff, you don't need to do it. But just exposing yourself to challenge, so the immune system gets a good little kind of upward tick. so we can, as we get older, not only we're pushing oxygen out the extremities, the body starts to detox better, you know, and actually getting yourself good sleep, like quality sleep. The meditation really informs quality sleep.
Right. Okay.
So a good, even if it's just once a day, you don't have to do it twice a day, but twice a day is gold. That's the gold routine. But you just start to sort of allow the body to settle into that sleep pattern.
Sure.
And better quality sleep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And mate, you've motivated me to get more regular with my meditation as well. Thank you.
Great.
And I hope it has to others, because it's to remind me how important it is. And, you know, your sleep as well. Like, no one's life will function better if their sleep is compromised.
Oh,
so important.
you know what it's like, eh? Sleep deprivation.
Totally.
It's just like, no wonder it's a form of torture.
Yeah, you can
right?
understand that.
Yeah, they put us under that influence of a lack of sleep.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We quickly go into a pretty bad state of mind.
Yeah.
It's so they you know, all those states of consciousness, you know, waking, sleeping, dream, and pure consciousness, which is available to us if we experience it regularly enough through meditation, transcending into it, that can start to grow itself by itself without us trying to grow it. We start to inform, you know, have a nice, you know, like if you have a kind of a challenged waking state experience of consciousness, or you're just pushing it out there, and you have a long and challenged one, you'll have a very challenged sleep state.
Sure.
Consciousness.
Yeah, really good observation.
State.
Yeah.
So and the other way around, if you had too much sleep state consciousness, well, our wake state consciousness is compromised too, because you're kind of like, you know what it's like.
You've been zombified, aren't you? You've been slow to get going in the morning.
And you just turn into a sloth.
Sure.
And you go, oh, what happened to me?
Yeah, so, really good point, that one too.
So, yeah, the balance, it's all trying to balance up. You're never going to be perfect balanced, but it's all trying to balance up itself, this system. And, but, you know, we're just human.
Yeah, mate, but honestly, you've passed on so much. And, you know, like for sure, I'm sure you've motivated so many people. You've motivated me. And there is a reason why we're able to do everything we want to do at each advancing stage in life. And this is valuable. I'm really, really grateful.
Yeah,
and mate, as I said at the start of the interview, guys, that Tom didn't know this, but I was about 19 and we were surfing Newport Peak and I had a sore back. And I mentioned it to you and you said, go to a chiropractor. And around the same time, I'd heard 2 other people mention chiropractic and I ended up studying it. And the rest of my life's been amazing because of that. So multiple reasons to thank you, mate. I really appreciate it.
Lovely to hear.
Thanks so much, mate. All the best with the recovery too.
Yeah.
The recovery, I should point to this leg.
This guy, it's just me. I've learned I had to get out of the way.
Exactly.
Just let it do its thing, Tom. And, you know, I still get caught up getting in the way.
Sure.
Because I forget.
Well, we're human. You just said it before. You know what I mean? Like, human. That's it.
And we did some of the most ridiculous shit.
Mate, unreal. Thank you. That was freaking awesome.